Today, I will do a quick recap of many trades I've taken in 2024, winner trades and loser trades. It will be a quick analysis of targets, bases, entries. It will improve your vision on trade setups. If you're ready, let's start. Let's quickly observe winners and talk about targets and bases and entries. Please see the base here. Our base pushed by this giant imbalance. This immediately makes this base a higher quality. After the strong break, price starts to pull back and creates this giant trend line liquidity. As you know, the highest quality targets are equals or trend lines, and there is no significant liquidity sweep here. Price pull back to this imbalance. At the same time, price at this perfect support and resistance flip area gives me additional support for my entry. I jumped into this trade with a market order with 3 top concepts because I saw it very late. Also notice here this tiny imbalance fails right here. A failed imbalance is a great indication for me to look for entries. A great setup. Let's check this another trade here. When you look at the base here, again pushed by imbalances, makes the base great. And the price slowly pulled back to this giant imbalance, right here, right around this support and resistance flip area. All early entries are shaken here. Price started to gain momentum right after the New York opened. My entry is not great here. Later on, price pulled back on me. At that moment, I had to cut like 50% around break-even to manage my risk. If you look at on the left, these tiny equal highs, which will be very obvious in 1-minute charts. A great target. A simple trade setup and entry. In this trade, I noticed that serious shake right here. Remember, I do not sit and watch these charts for hours. When I scan the coins, most of action already happened. I noticed this and flagged them as potential trades. So I noticed the shake here, then checking for higher quality target. Noticing this inner equal highs with imbalance, and I think that price will want those areas. Once the price gains momentum, waiting for a suitable imbalance to push to enter. Nothing complicated in this trade. Clear target and clear entry. This was a trade that I had mixed feelings about. First of all, we had a great target, as you can see. Very nice trendline liquidity. We had this good support and resistance area around the imbalance. Price also shook the very early participants by making a small power of 3 here. The base was okay, it was partially using imbalances, but the problem was that it had too many open liquidity areas. This is why I closed the first trade here at break-even. I was afraid of a sudden splash downwards to clear those liquidity areas. Then I noticed it was not the case. Price was pushing upwards, creating this imbalance for me to enter the trade. I think this was a very straightforward trade. Having a nice target here. Price keeps falling to this imbalance area and also fully sweeps these equal lows, getting all the fuel needed. Then it changes its inner structure right here. Then at that point, I jump to trade. Not much to talk about, a simple trading setup. In this trade, you can notice the quality of the target. A straight trend line liquidity. Price drops slowly until this imbalance area. There is a very small base here, actually, which sweeps its inner liquidity. It also has an area of small support and resistance. Then this imbalance fails here and structure changes. This is how I entered the trade. Nothing overcomplicated. Another similar setup. It is actually almost identical with previous trade. Strong push and slow pullback to imbalance. Great open targets above. Structure shifts and I enter. As you can see, I am not searching for the most perfect entries with 10 out of 10 confirmations. It is impossible. I just manage my risk and trades as much as possible with good enough setups. You may ask me hundreds of questions, but my answer is the same. There are no perfect setups most of the time. There are only good enough setups or clear enough setups to trade. This was a very clear trade with perfect target, a combo of previous day high and equal highs. Also notice the quality of the base here. Price is pushed by its imbalances. So I do not expect the price to drop under this strong low area. Around the New York Open, I think of how to carry the price up. Price pushes and pulls back to imbalance. That is how to look for the entry. This trade is actually more like a higher time frame entry. Probably the most basic trade I have taken. I already noticed the price kept pushing up with momentum using imbalances. And I asked myself, where is this price going for? It was clear when I saw the previous week's high. I basically jumped right after this imbalance push. This is a perfect example for the masterclass students. Simple forward trading. Let's talk about losses. Look at this trade. Check out the base first. Very confusing. There is an open equal loss and this trend line liquidity right here. Not a great base at all. And this wick here is a strange manipulation wick. Warns me not to trade this coin. Something is weird about this coin. But I did it anyway. Price eventually went down until clearing those liquidities. Let's check this loss here. First of all, if you check the base here, you'll notice something very similar with previous loss. Notice the equal lows here. It has an okay target, trendline liquidity above, but not enough. Some days I find myself in a rush. I feel like I must enter a trade, act impatiently, which makes me enter really bad setups. I think this is the fate of every trader out there. This is also an interesting loss. Price in a very powerful up momentum. Finally pulls back and clears this inner liquidity area and fills this nice imbalance. Then it pushes powerfully here, changes the structure and creates an imbalance. This is where I enter. But I quickly understood that this imbalance fails and I cut the trade early to reduce the loss. Remember, risk management also includes cutting your losses earlier to have a little loss. Now this one is different. This is what I call perfect loss, a good loss. Let's see. Look at the base here. Sweeps inner liquidity, taps the imbalance, and fires up. Then check the target. Perfect equal highs. Perfect base, perfect target. Then the price pulls back into this imbalance and again it sweeps the liquidity one more time. Then this imbalance fails and the next imbalance holds the price. This is a great setup. If I see it 100 times, I will take it 100 times. This drop is very sharp and quick. It can be some sort of news here. I'm not 100% sure. Another okay loss. In this case, I am trying to carry the price to previous week high. Nothing complicated. Using imbalances and keep pushing the price. But as you can see here, price is not moving at all. There is nothing I can do here. If the price is not moving for hours, keep hanging around your entry area. Just cut the trade. Look for better setups. Do not waste time on this. I hope these quick recaps help you see what I see. Now you can ask me this. Why did you do this? Why did you not wait for this? Why did I enter right here? Why not wait for this imbalance? So many questions. My answer again, simple. If I wait for 10 out of 10 perfect setups, I can maybe take one trade per week. Sometimes I enter bad setups and I win. Some days I enter great setups and I lose. However, I always try to take clearer setups as much as possible. Also, I do not focus on 1 or 2 trades. I focus on the results of 100 trades. I hope this was a useful video. See you guys in the next videos. Please take care and keep managing the risk. If you have completed the free trading course and feel like you improved your trading skills, but you need more, an extra, a boost, and you want to move to the next level in your trading life, my masterclass is ready for you. You'll learn liquidity, inefficiencies, and structure mastery deeply. And we will look at forward and reverse trading with momentum super boxes. You will learn how to confirm your entries with magic alignment system. Finally, you'll discover a strategy called YOYO strategy, which will open new doors for you about taking and managing trades. If you are interested, you can find links on my website on the description. Take care, friends, manage your risks, and stay safe.